I never thought a phone call from a hospital bed would be the moment I finally saw my mother for who she really was. The impact came out of nowhere. One second I was driving home from the grocery store, humming along to the radio, and the next there was the sickening crunch of metal, the explosive punch of the airbag, and then nothing but ringing silence. I don't remember much after that, just flashes. The paramedics cutting my seatbelt, the blinding lights of the ambulance, the sharp, stabbing pain in my ribs every time I tried to breathe. By the time they got me to Vancouver General Hospital, I was conscious but barely holding it together. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely grip my phone. But there was only one thing on my mind. My daughter, Sophia. She was only 8 weeks old, at home with a sitter who was supposed to leave at 5. It was already 4:30, and I had no idea when I'd be getting out of here. I needed my mother. My fingers fumbled as I pulled up her contact. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. "Come on, Mom. Pick up." "Hello?" Her voice was light, almost cheerful. "Mom," I gasped. And even that single word sent a spike of pain through my chest. "I've been in an accident. I'm at the hospital. I need you to come get Sophia." There was a pause. Not the kind of pause where someone's processing shocking news. The kind where they're annoyed at being interrupted. "An accident? Are you all right?" "I don't know yet. They're running tests." "But Mom, the sitter has to leave soon, and Marcus is in Calgary for that conference. I need you to go to the house and stay with Sophia until I know what's happening." Another pause. Longer this time. "Vanessa, I'm at my pottery class right now. We're in the middle of glazing and the kiln time is already booked. Can't you call someone else?" I blinked, certain I'd misheard. "Mom, I was just in a car accident. I'm in the emergency room. I need you to help with your granddaughter." "I understand that, but honestly, Vanessa, you always have these emergencies. Your sister never calls me in the middle of the day with drama. She manages her life without constant crisis." The words hit harder than the airbag had. I stared at the ceiling tiles, counting the little holes in them, trying to process what I was hearing. "Mom, this isn't drama. Someone ran a red light and T-boned my car. I'm hurt. I don't know how badly yet. And my 8-week-old baby is at home with a sitter who leaves in 30 minutes. Well, what about Marcus's parents? They live closer anyway. They're in Victoria visiting Marcus's aunt." "Mom, please. I'm asking you to help me." She sighed. Actually sighed. Like I was asking her to rearrange her entire life instead of just leave a pottery class. "Fine. But I can't stay long. I have dinner plans with Karen tonight, and you know how she gets if people are late." The line went dead. I lay there, phone still pressed to my ear, trying to understand what had just happened. Trying to understand how my mother could hear that I'd been in a serious car accident and sound more put out than concerned. A nurse came in to take my vitals, then another to tell me they were taking me for a CT scan. The whole time, my mind kept replaying the conversation. "Your sister never calls me with drama. She manages her life." Madison. Of course. Perfect, beautiful, successful Madison, who could do no wrong. By the time they wheeled me back from the CT scan, it was nearly 6. My phone had 3 missed calls from the sitter, increasingly frantic voicemails about needing to leave. I called her back with shaking hands. "I'm so sorry, Emily. My mom should be there any minute." "Mrs. Chen, I really have to go. I have a midterm at 7. I know. Just, please, 5 more minutes?" She agreed, but I could hear the frustration in her voice. And I didn't blame her. This wasn't her problem. It was mine. Or rather, it was my mother's. 10 minutes later, Emily called back. "Your mom's not here yet. I really, really have to go." Panic clawed at my throat. "Can you please just wait a little longer? I'll pay you double for the extra time." "I can't miss this exam. I'm sorry." The line went dead. I stared at my phone, feeling completely helpless. My 8-week-old daughter was alone in the house. My mother was apparently more concerned about pottery class and dinner plans than her own grandchild, and I was lying in a hospital bed, unable to do anything about it. That's when I heard the voice. "Vanessa? I turned my head, wincing at the pain, and there he was. Grandpa Jim, 82 years old, silver hair, warm brown eyes, standing in the doorway of my hospital room like some kind of guardian angel. "Grandpa? What are you doing here?" He walked over to my bedside, his face creased with concern. "Your neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, called me. Said she saw the ambulance take you away and thought someone should know. I got here as fast as I could." He paused, taking in the monitors, the IV, the bandages. "How bad is it, sweetheart?" "I don't know yet. Concussion for sure, maybe some broken ribs. But Grandpa, Sophia's at home alone. The sitter had to leave and Mom, my voice cracked. I couldn't finish the sentence. His expression hardened in a way I'd rarely seen. "Your mother isn't there?" I shook my head, not trusting myself to speak. "Where is she?" "Pottery class. Then dinner with a friend." The words tasted bitter. She said, "I always have emergencies. That Madison never calls with drama." Grandpa Jim's jaw tightened. He pulled out his phone. "What's your address again, honey?" I told him, and he was already heading toward the door. "I'm going to get Sophia right now. Don't you worry about a thing." "Grandpa? You don't have to." "Yes, I do." He looked back at me, and there was steel in his eyes. "Someone should have been there the second you called. I'll be back soon with your little girl." He left, and I felt something inside me crack. Not from the accident. From the realization that my 82-year-old grandfather, who lived 40 minutes away, had dropped everything to help me, while my mother, who lived 15 minutes away, couldn't be bothered to leave pottery class. True to his word, Grandpa Jim was back within an hour, baby Sophia bundled in his arms. She was sleeping peacefully, completely unaware of the chaos. He'd brought the diaper bag, extra clothes, bottles, everything I would have packed myself. "She's perfect," he said softly, adjusting the blanket around her. "Didn't even wake up when I moved her from the crib." "Thank you," I whispered. "I don't know what I would have done if—" "You don't have to thank me. This is what family does." The doctor came in then with my results. Concussion, 3 cracked ribs, severe bruising, but nothing that wouldn't heal. They wanted to keep me overnight for observation. Grandpa Jim immediately said he'd stay with Sophia at my house, that he'd already called Grandma Ruth to bring over some things. "What about Mom?" I asked, even though part of me already knew the answer. I called her, told her where I was and what I was doing. She said she'd try to stop by tomorrow after her hair appointment. Try to stop by. After her hair appointment. I closed my eyes, feeling tears leak out despite my best efforts to hold them together. That night, while Grandpa Jim took care of Sophia at home, I lay in that hospital bed thinking about the last 10 years. About everything I'd done for my family. Everything I'd sacrificed. Everything I'd given. And I thought about money. When I was 19, fresh out of high school, my grandmother on my father's side passed away. She left me her house, a modest 2-bedroom in East Vancouver that she'd bought decades ago for practically nothing. By the time I inherited it, that house was worth almost $1 million. I sold it, invested most of the money, and used the rest to start a small digital marketing business. By the time I was 21, my business was thriving. I was making good money, more than most people my age. And that's when Mom started asking for help. Just a little bit at first. $500 here for property taxes, $1,000 there for a new roof. Then Dad got laid off from his job at the manufacturing plant, and suddenly the asks got bigger. Could I help with the mortgage? Just for a few months until he found something new. A few months turned into a year, then 2 years. Then it just became normal. I was 22 when I started sending them $3,500 every single month, enough to cover their mortgage, their car payments, their insurance. Dad eventually found work again, but the payments never stopped, because by then, they'd gotten used to the lifestyle. Madison was in university by then, taking her sweet time with a 6-year undergraduate degree in art history. Mom and Dad couldn't afford to help her, they said, but I could. So, I started sending an extra $1,000 a month for Madison's expenses. Rent, groceries, spending money. When I was 25, Madison graduated and moved back home. She got a job at a gallery, part-time, minimum wage. She said she was finding herself and needed to focus on her art. Mom and Dad supported this fully. They even helped her rent a studio space downtown. Except helped meant I paid for it. Another $800 a month. I got married when I was 26. Marcus knew I helped my parents financially, but he didn't know how much. I told him I sent them a few $100s a month. He thought it was sweet that I helped them out. He didn't know that a significant chunk of my business income was going straight to them. The payments continued. $3,500 for the house, $1,000 for Madison's expenses, $800 for her studio, $500 here and there for emergencies, new appliances, car repairs, medical bills that weren't really that expensive but apparently were beyond their means. I paid for Mom's vacation to Mexico. I paid for Dad's new fishing boat. I paid for Madison's trip to Europe, the one where she needed to see real art to inspire her practice. In 10 years, I calculated once late at night when I couldn't sleep, I'd given them over $450,000. $450,000. And my mother couldn't leave pottery class when I was in the hospital. The next morning, Marcus flew back from Calgary the second he got my messages. He burst into my hospital room, pale and terrified, and pulled me into his arms as carefully as he could manage with my injuries. "I'm so sorry I wasn't here. I'm so sorry. It's not your fault. You were working. Your mom called me this morning. Said I needed to make better arrangements for Sophia because she couldn't always be available at the drop of a hat." He pulled back, confused. "Vanessa." She made it sound like she'd been running around all night helping us. "But when I got to the house, your grandpa was there. He said he'd been the one taking care of everything." I took a deep breath, which hurt, and told him the truth. All of it. The pottery class, the dinner plans, the comments about Madison never having emergencies. Grandpa Jim driving across the city to rescue Sophia while my mother complained about my constant drama. Marcus's expression went from confused to angry to something I couldn't quite read. "She really said that? While you were in the hospital?" I nodded. He sat down heavily in the chair beside my bed. "Vanessa, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me." My stomach dropped. "Okay. How much money do you send your parents?" The room felt very small suddenly. "What?" "I've been meaning to ask for a while now. I know you help them out, but our joint account hasn't changed much since you started your business. You're making good money? I know you are. Your client list is impressive, but it's like that money just disappears. So where's it going?" I couldn't look at him. "I send them some money every month." "How much is some?" $3,500 for their mortgage and bills. He was quiet for a moment. "That's a lot, but okay. They're your parents. Is that it?" "I also send Madison money. About $1,000 a month." "Your sister? The one who lives at home and has a job?" "She's finding herself. The gallery doesn't pay much." "Right." His voice was tight. "Anything else?" "Her studio space. $800 a month." Marcus stood up, ran his hands through his hair. "So you're sending them over $5,000 every month? Sometimes more, if there are emergencies." "Emergencies." He laughed, but there was no humor in it. "How long has this been going on?" "About 10 years. He did the math in his head. I watched his face go pale. "Vanessa, that's over $500,000. 450,000. Approximately. Maybe a bit more. $450,000. He said it slowly, like he was trying to make sense of the number. "You've given your parents and sister $450,000, and your mother wouldn't leave pottery class when you were in a car accident." Hearing him say it out loud made it sound even worse. "I didn't know how to stop," I whispered. "They're my family. I'm your family. Sophia is your family. We're supposed to come first, Vanessa. Do you know what we could have done with that money? We could have paid off our mortgage completely. We could have set up a massive college fund for Sophia. We could have retired early." He sat back down, his anger deflating into something sadder. "But instead, you've been supporting your parents' lifestyle while they treat you like an inconvenience. They didn't used to be like this." "Yes, they did. You just didn't see it because you were too busy trying to be the good daughter." A nurse came in to discharge me, which gave us both time to calm down. Marcus helped me get dressed, careful of my ribs. He didn't say much, and I didn't push. Grandpa Jim met us at the house with Sophia, who was fed, changed, and happy. "How are you feeling, sweetheart?" Like I got hit by a car, I tried to joke, but it fell flat. Marcus took Sophia, and I watched him hold our daughter, pressing kisses to her head. He looked at me over her downy hair. "We need to talk about this properly, but first, you need to rest." Over the next few days, I barely left the couch. My ribs made it agony to move, and the concussion meant I couldn't look at screens for very long. Marcus took time off work to take care of me and Sophia. Grandpa Jim came by every day, bringing food, helping with the baby, just being there. My mother called twice. The first time to tell me she was glad I was okay, but she'd been terribly worried and hadn't slept well because of the stress I'd caused. The second time to ask if I could transfer next month's payment a few days early because Dad wanted to book a fishing trip. I told her I'd think about it and hung up. On the fourth day, Marcus sat down beside me on the couch, careful not to jostle my ribs. "I've been thinking about something." "Yeah? When's the last time your mother or sister asked how you were doing? Not because they needed something, but just to check in?" I opened my mouth to answer and realized I couldn't remember. Every call, every text, every visit, for the past 10 years had been about them. Their problems, their needs, their emergencies. "I can't remember," I admitted. "Madison's never even met Sophia, has she?" "She's busy with her art. She came to town 3 weeks ago for some gallery opening. Your mom posted pictures on Facebook. They went to dinner, just the two of them." Madison didn't even text to ask if she could see her niece. I hadn't known that. The realization settled over me like a weight. She didn't tell me she was in town. "Because they don't actually care about you, Vanessa. You're not their daughter or their sister. You're their ATM machine. And I'm done watching you hurt yourself for people who won't even leave pottery class when you're in the hospital." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying you need to stop sending them money. All of it. Immediately." Fear spiked through me. "Marcus, I can't just cut them off. They depend on that money. Dad's on a fixed income and Mom doesn't work and that's not your responsibility. They're adults. They managed before you started sending them money, and they'll manage after." "But the mortgage isn't your mortgage?" "Vanessa, we have our own mortgage. We have our own child to raise. We have our own future to plan for. Your parents are in their late 50s. They're not elderly. They're not disabled. They can figure it out. You don't understand. If I stop, they'll what? Disown you? Because from where I'm sitting, I'm not sure what you're getting from this relationship anyway." I didn't have an answer for that. Marcus's voice softened. "I love you. I love that you have such a big heart. But they're taking advantage of that, and it needs to stop. If not for your sake, then for Sophia's. She deserves to grow up in a financially secure household. She deserves a college fund. She deserves to have her mother not constantly stressed about supporting 3 other adults." He was right. I knew he was right. But the thought of actually doing it, of cutting them off, made me feel sick. That night, after Marcus fell asleep, I went through my phone. I looked at all the messages from the past year. Mom asking for money for a new dishwasher. Madison needing help with her car insurance. Dad wanting to upgrade his truck. Mom needing money for Christmas gifts. Madison asking for first-class tickets to see her friend in Toronto. Not once had any of them asked about my business. About Sophia's development. About how Marcus and I were managing new parenthood. It was just request after request after request. I thought about the day I went into labor. I'd called Mom, excited and terrified, to tell her we were heading to the hospital. She said she'd try to make it, but she had a hair appointment and couldn't cancel without losing her deposit. She showed up 6 hours after Sophia was born, stayed for 20 minutes, and left because she had dinner reservations. Madison never came at all. She sent a text. "Congrats. Babies aren't really my thing, but I'm sure she's cute." I thought about my wedding, where I'd paid for both my parents' outfits and given Madison $5,000 to be my maid of honor because she said she couldn't afford the expenses otherwise. She spent the entire reception complaining about how boring weddings were. I thought about every birthday they'd forgotten, every achievement they'd dismissed, every time I'd needed support and they'd been too busy. And I thought about pottery class, about my mother hearing that I'd been in a serious car accident and being annoyed at the inconvenience. Something in me shifted that night, something fundamental and irreversible. The next morning, I called my bank and canceled all the automatic transfers, every single one. Then, I called my mother. Vanessa, hi honey. Did you think about what I asked? About transferring next month's payment early? Actually, Mom, I need to talk to you about that. Oh good, so you can do it? No, I'm not doing it at all. I'm not sending next month's payment. Or any payment after that. I'm done. Silence. I'm sorry, what? I'm not sending you money anymore. I'm not paying your mortgage. I'm not paying Madison's expenses. I'm not paying for studios or vacations or fishing trips or anything else. Vanessa, this isn't funny. I'm not joking. I've sent you over $450,000 in the past 10 years, and when I was in the hospital after a car accident, you couldn't be bothered to leave pottery class to help with your granddaughter. So I'm done. You can't be serious. Honey, we depend on that money. Then, I suggest you figure out another way to manage. Dad has a job. You could get one too. Madison is 30 years old. She can support herself. But the mortgage is not my mortgage. You and Dad bought that house. You're responsible for it. We bought it for you kids. We bought it so you'd have a nice home growing up. And I appreciate that. But I moved out 12 years ago. That house hasn't been for me in over a decade. I could hear her breathing heavily on the other end. So what? You're just going to abandon us? Leave us homeless? You're not going to be homeless. You can sell the house, downsize to something affordable. Or you can both get jobs and cover the mortgage yourselves. But it's not my responsibility anymore. After everything we've done for you. Everything you've done for me? Like what, Mom? Like refusing to watch your granddaughter when I was in the emergency room? Like forgetting my birthday 3 years in a row? Like spending every conversation asking for money? We raised you. We fed you and clothed you and put a roof over your head. That was your job as parents. That's the bare minimum. It doesn't entitle you to $500,000 of my money. You, ungrateful, selfish. I'm selfish? I'm the selfish one? I've given you everything you've asked for 10 years. I've sacrificed my own financial security, my marriage, my peace of mind, all to support you. And you can't even pretend to care when I'm hurt. We do care. But you have to understand, we have our own lives. We can't just drop everything every time you have a crisis. It wasn't a crisis, Mom. It was a car accident. I was injured. My baby was home alone. That's not a crisis. That's an emergency. And you chose pottery class over your own grandchild. She was crying now. Madison's right about you. You've always thought you were better than us just because you had that inheritance money. Madison said that? She said you lord it over us. That you think we owe you something. I laughed, and it hurt my ribs. The money I've been sending isn't from my inheritance. It's from my business. Every single dollar I've sent you, I earned. And Madison should know, since a good chunk of it has been going to support her while she finds herself. You're going to regret this. Family is forever, Vanessa. You can't just throw us away. I'm not throwing you away. I'm setting a boundary. If you want a relationship with me, with Sophia, you're welcome to have one. But it's going to be based on actual family dynamics, not financial transactions. No more asking for money. No more treating me like an ATM. If you can't do that, then maybe we don't have a relationship after all. You're making a huge mistake. Maybe. But it's my mistake to make. I hung up before she could say anything else. My hands were shaking, but I felt oddly calm. Lighter somehow, like I'd been carrying a weight I didn't realize was crushing me until I set it down. Marcus found me on the couch, staring at my phone. You did it? I did it. He sat beside me, pulled me carefully against his shoulder. How do you feel? Terrified, relieved, sad, all of it at once. That's normal. She called me selfish. Of course she did. You just cut off her income stream. She's going to say whatever she thinks will make you feel guilty enough to change your mind. What if she's right? What if I am selfish? Vanessa, love, setting boundaries, isn't selfish. Taking care of your own family isn't selfish. You've spent 10 years putting them first, and they didn't even have the decency to be there when you needed them most. That's not a relationship. That's exploitation. Over the next few days, my phone exploded. Mom called 17 times, leaving increasingly frantic voicemails. Dad called, angry, demanding to know what I thought I was doing. Madison sent me a series of texts that started with pleading and ended with vicious insults. I blocked all of them. Then came the messages from extended family. Aunts, uncles, cousins I hadn't spoken to in years, all suddenly very concerned about my relationship with my parents. I was tearing the family apart, they said. I was being cruel. How could I abandon my own mother and father? I sent one message to the family group chat. If anyone wants to know my side of the story, I'm happy to share it. Otherwise, please stay out of it. 3 people asked. 3 out of 27 family members. I told them everything. The money, the pottery class, the way I'd been treated. 2 of them apologized and backed off. One of them, my Aunt Carol, said she wasn't surprised. Your mother's always been like this, she said when she called me. She did the same thing to your Grandma Ruth for years. Took and took and took until finally your grandfather put his foot down. That's why they're not close anymore. I didn't know that. Your mom doesn't talk about it. She's very good at playing the victim. But I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself. It's not easy. It wasn't easy. Some days I felt strong and certain. Other days I felt guilty and cruel and selfish. Marcus was endlessly patient, reminding me that what I was feeling was normal, that I was doing the right thing, that I couldn't set myself on fire to keep other people warm. Grandpa Jim was even more direct. Your mother made her choices, and now she has to live with the consequences. That's not your fault or your responsibility. 3 weeks after I cut them off, I got a message from Madison. Just one line. Mom and Dad are selling the house. I hope you're happy. I was surprised by how little I felt when I read it. No guilt, no sadness, just a distant sense of inevitability. I replied, I hope they find something they can afford. Truly. She didn't respond. A month later, Marcus came home from work with news. I ran into your dad today, at the grocery store. Oh? He looks good, healthy. We talked for a minute. He said they found a nice condo in Burnaby. 2 bedrooms, much cheaper mortgage. He picked up some extra shifts at work. Your mom got a part-time job at a bookstore. She did? Yeah. He said it's been an adjustment, but they're managing. Then he asked about you and Sophia. Wanted to know if he could see her sometime. What did you say? I said he should call you and ask you himself. That evening, my phone rang. Dad's name on the screen. I answered. Vanessa. Hi. Hi, Dad. I ran into Marcus today. He mentioned that. Awkward silence. Look, I'm not going to grovel, he said finally. But I am going to apologize. For a lot of things. For taking your money for granted. For letting your mother treat you the way she did. For not standing up for you when I should have. I didn't say anything. You were right to cut us off. I didn't see it at the time, but you were right. We got comfortable living off your generosity, and we forgot to actually be your parents. That's on us. Thanks for saying that, I managed. Your mom's not ready to admit it yet. She's still pretty angry, but she will be, eventually. Until then, I was wondering if maybe I could see Sophia sometimes. If you're open to it. I know I don't deserve it, but she's my granddaughter, and I'd like to be in her life, without the money stuff, just as her grandpa. I looked over at Sophia, sleeping in her bassinet. I think we can arrange that. Really? On the condition that money never comes up. Not as a joke, not as a hint, not at all. The second you or Mom ask me for money, I'm done. For good. Understood. Absolutely understood. We made plans for him to come over that weekend. After we hung up, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time when it came to my father. Hope. Marcus raised his eyebrows when I told him. You sure about this? No. But I think it's worth trying. He sounded genuine. And if he's not? Then I'll know I gave him a chance, and the failure is on him, not me. Dad came over that Saturday. He brought a stuffed bunny for Sophia and didn't stay long. Just held her for a bit, teared up a little, and left. He texted me afterward. Thank you for letting me see her. It means the world. He came again 2 weeks later. Then again the week after that. Each visit was short, respectful, never asking for anything. Just a grandfather getting to know his granddaughter. Mom never reached out. According to Dad, she was still convinced I'd overreacted, that I owed them, that I was being vindictive. He didn't push it, and I appreciated that. Madison sent me one more message, months later, after she'd apparently exhausted all other options. I'm moving to Toronto. I got a real job at a marketing firm. Full-time, benefits, the whole thing. I guess you were right about needing to support myself. I wasn't sure if it was an apology or just a statement of fact, but I chose to take it as progress. Looking back now, with Sophia almost a year old, I don't regret cutting them off. Yes, it was hard. Yes, there were days I doubted myself. But my life is so much better without that constant financial and emotional drain. Marcus and I paid off $20,000 in credit card debt I'd been carrying. We fully funded Sophia's education savings account. We took a real vacation, just the three of us, to the Okanagan. We breathed easier, slept better, fought less, and I learned something important. Family isn't just about blood. It's about who shows up for you when everything falls apart. Grandpa Jim shows up. He's at our house at least twice a week, playing with Sophia, bringing her little gifts, telling her stories. He's the great-grandfather every kid should have. Marcus's parents show up. They flew back from Victoria the second they heard about the accident. They've been incredible with Sophia, supportive with us, never overstepping or demanding. My Aunt Carol shows up. She calls every couple of weeks just to check in. No agenda, just genuine care. My mother chose pottery class. Madison chose her art. Dad is trying to rebuild something, and I'm letting him, but carefully, with clear boundaries. And I'm showing up for myself, for my daughter, for my husband, for the family I've built, not the family I was born into. If there's anything I want people to take from my story, it's this. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your resources just because you share DNA. It's okay to set boundaries. It's okay to say no. It's okay to expect the people you support to show up for you when you need them. And it's okay to walk away when they can't meet that basic standard. Love shouldn't be transactional, but it should be reciprocal. Real family will show up for you without being asked, without expecting payment, without making you feel guilty for having needs. If the people in your life can't do that, it might be time to redefine what family means to you. Because at the end of the day, the family you choose is often more loyal than the family you're born into. And you deserve people who would drop everything to be there for you, not people who see you as an obligation or an ATM. I learned that lesson in a hospital bed, with cracked ribs and a concussion, when my 82-year-old grandfather drove across the city while my mother finished her pottery class. Best lesson I ever learned, even if it was one of the most painful.